still put it for me here. So what I'm doing, I'm gonna get your issue. Yeah, like y'all looking at this building, which ain't shit. Never, nobody, when the shit was crumbled or be destroyed. I'm just saying.
He's given over $700,000 to the Democrats. We're not exactly sure.
I used to be a Democrat for 30 years, and that man convinced me to be a Republican. Who gives a if he changed over time? What? So you don't want my vote?
It's been a campaign season unlike any other. And as the convention in Cleveland neared, some wondered if they made a mistake.
Our party has been hijacked.
Some worried about violence.
I listen to people who say to them, you better get it. I hear people saying, I'm getting the
And most can't wait to celebrate their man.
The hippies at Woodstock, we're going to have Trump stock. And we're going to have it in Cleveland.
And we have the man himself, Donald Trump, in an exclusive interview on the eve of his nomination.
This whole never Trump movement is nonsense, you understand?
You're not worried about it?
Not even a little bit. The alternative's Hillary Clinton, super liberal judges. Our country becomes Venezuela. What is the story you're going to try to tell at the convention? I'm going to tell a lot of stories at the convention.
Fox News reporting, take over the Trump convention. From Cleveland, Brent Baer.
Behind me is Cleveland's celebrated Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, containing numerous exhibits that show the development of hundreds of influential artists. But for the next several days, the biggest rock star in town will be a billionaire businessman who's no singer, but he is quite a performer. And this week, as thousands converge upon Cleveland for the Republican National Convention, it turns out that many of them are not your conventional Republicans. Chris Cox makes his living by creating chainsaw sculpture.
As long as I've got a couple logs and a chainsaw, I can turn it into something that will typically put some gas in my truck and a pillow under my head.
He's also the new face of the Republican Party.
Donald Trump has single-handedly untied the tongues of America. I jumped on board after I heard him talking about standing up to ISIS.
I would bomb the shit out of him.
I stood up once I heard him talking about vetting Syrian refugees.
Nobody knows who the people are.
Building a wall.
If you don't have a border, we don't have a country. As founder of Bikers for Trump, Cox headed to Cleveland to express his support.
Raise your hand if you're Bikers for Trump. Bikers for Trump, we've just come out of nowhere. We are just blowing up. We're pushing 50,000 members already. Bikers for Trump!
But while Trump gets plenty of backing,
I would really like to see a nominee.
Anybody but Trump. Everybody but Trump.
he's also got plenty of people who question these new followers.
Our party has been hijacked, and it's by people that actually don't care about our platform. That platform is the tool that we use to hold a candidate accountable.
Kendall Underwood, who teaches American government at a Christian school south of Denver, is Colorado's longest-serving Republican delegate, having attended the last 7 GOP conventions.
We've always just been sent to a convention in the past to coronate the nominee. Basically, we're backdrop. We're to play nice and act nice and have decorum.
But this time may be different, because some conservative Republicans, like Underwood, are appalled by Trump. She questions his policies.
You cannot put a 35% tariff on to items that are coming into the nation and expect this nation to be prosperous.
Free trade can be wonderful if you have smart people. But we have people that are stupid.
What he's proposing is going to make America broke again.
So important that she questions his consistency.
Are you asking me to support the Donald Trump that believed in assault rifle bans, or the one that now has the NRA endorsement because he said that he's going to defend the Second Amendment every inch?
We're going to take care of it, okay?
Are you going to support the Donald Trump that said that he agreed with partial birth abortion, or the one that now says that he's pro-life?
I've evolved on many issues over the years. She questions his conservatism.
Donald Trump is telling people that he's going to penalize their company if they choose to move out of the country.
I want 35% tax.
Does that not concern everybody that you have somebody that is literally trying to dictate where a private company can operate?
There's always going to be somebody out there that disagrees with what you say. When's the last time you see political rallies with 20, 30,000 people standing there cheering? They don't even sit down in their chairs. They're standing the whole time.
He's not using persuasion tactics. In fact, his supporters are very fear-based. Obviously, he's used demagoguery to incite that in order to get that support.
If you want someone... Another prominent Trump skeptic in Cleveland is former Virginia Attorney General Ken Cuccinelli. What is Trump trying to undo that the Republican Party stands for?
I don't think he cares about a lot of things that the Republican Party has stood for a long time. What some people would call traditional values. He doesn't really care about how big government agencies are. He doesn't have any notion of shrinking government. I've never heard him talk about that as a problem.
But voters like Chris Cox argue that Donald Trump is speaking to the people's concerns. Good, I like that. Thank you. Thank you.
Donald Trump is turning the Republican Party into the working American Party. People want jobs. People want to feel a sense of accomplishment. And Donald Trump's giving them a hope that we're going to be able to achieve that.
Mr. Cox's message to the Republican establishment is simple. Watch out.
If Donald Trump's elected, he's going to send a loud message. You better start doing your job, because if you don't, guess what? You're next. You're going to be out of here. You're going to pack your bag, and your legacy is going to be that you were fired.
Is Donald Trump an anomaly? Or is this the beginning of a change of the Republican Party?
Well, you know, that's one of those things that time will tell.
I'm actually on the Rules Committee.
Kendall Unruh doesn't believe in waiting to find out. She plans on trying to stop Trump from becoming the nominee at the convention.
Ultimately, I don't want Donald Trump as our nominee.
Chris Cox disagrees. He thinks Trump is just as a Dr. Movie.
Donald Trump's going to bring some dignity back to our country. He's going to give us a sense of direction. We need America back. We want our country back, and we're going to get it back. This is a movement, and it's happening right now. Okay, Chavez is coming on board. We'll see who holds out. The ones that are there, they better fall in line. They better start making some things happen, and they better start representing the people that put them there.
This is the clash that Republicans are bracing themselves for here in Cleveland. It's also one that's no surprise to anybody who's been paying attention. When we return, the early fireworks leading up to this week's explosion. And later, our pre-convention discussion with Donald Trump. We've seen the undercurrents running through the Republican Party as it meets here in Cleveland. But the sparks have been flying all along in this most contentious campaign season. Sometimes there are even shouting matches. We don't care! Irrelevant!
George made a vote, let's down.
Such as on the floor of the Virginia Republican Convention. In this case, they're divvying up the delegates, but the showdown is symbolic of a larger fight.
There's a lot of people that don't understand what comes into place when it comes to the nominations.
Shaq Hill is a prominent member of the Virginia Republican Party.
Your leaders at your local levels created the nomination. Trump voters are so frustrated with the party structure, and they're finding out now how the party works for maybe the first time in their life. It's very frustrating.
Jack Morgan is in charge of Trump's campaign in southwestern Virginia. Morgan and the Trump camp feared they were being outmaneuvered by Cruz supporters.
They weren't really Cruz people. They were everybody else. They were Bush and Walker and Rubio and all those things. And they kind of came to Cruz because Cruz is the last one left in their eyes that can stop Donald Trump.
The voters chose Trump, but his people feared Cruz would still manage to get more delegates. It's all a part of spiraling ill will that still exists between pro and anti-Trump forces.
We're calling for a true unity slate. That's what we're looking for. No, we're in an interview. Sorry, Jack. Wow, thanks. I know, but let us finish. Let us finish, yeah. So we're calling for a true unity slate. We got the most votes.
We gave Shaq Hill his chance to speak.
Well, Mr. Trump has been in 5 different parties in the last 10 different years. He's given over $700,000 to the Democrats. We're not exactly sure.
I used to be a Democrat for 30 years, and that man convinced me to be a Republican. Who takes the if he changed over time? What? So you don't want my vote? I'm a Republican now, and I want the Republican Party? So you're saying if you grew up as a Republican, then you're better than me as a Democrat?
I'm not yelling at you.
That Trump supporter was Cheryl Ann Kraft, a nurse who works for the Department of Defense in Norfolk.
I was a 30-year Democrat, and I was motivated by what was going on the Republican side, wanting to disenfranchise the voters of Virginia and hijack their votes in a secretive manner is disgusting, and it is absolutely inappropriate.
The fault line exposed in Virginia runs through the breadth of the party.
Donald does well with voters who have relatively low information, who are not that engaged, who are angry, and they see him as an angry voice.
Low-educated voter. That one just was, beyond the pale of a statement.
Former federal prosecutor from Southern Virginia.
I'm putting on my channel.
For Trump, she's on the lookout for more
I think that common sense apparently left the political process some time ago when nobody was watching. And that's kind of why I'm a Trump supporter, because I think it's time for it to come back.
I want the kids to hear something they ain't learned
I
already.
plan on making sure I understand both the RNC's rules as well as Virginia's rules, because they do intertwine when it comes to July in Cleveland.
We brought our emotions to the table, and you're seeing that today. This is the first time I'm seeing the slate, but I make some of the worst decisions when I'm angry. For President of the United States, I need to see somebody that has a track record. Mr. Trump doesn't have a track record that's favorable for conservatives. I find it hilarious that the people that I've spent 20 years working with trying to tell us how to grow our party are now upset that someone is growing our party. He's brought in more voters than any Republican in our lifetime, yet somehow that's a bad thing. They're saying they're not. But if you look at where he stands today on any critical issues, what I would argue,
I'm about to get to see this bullshit for what it is.
he's the most conservative person out there.
Next, curtain up, hit the lights. The Republicans are ready to start the show. But will they be ready for prime time?
That was part of me too, dude. White, mad at white folks.
The excitement is
Probably we ain't got shit to do with it.
National convention.
You ever did? Probably we ain't got shit to do with it.
Trump's promise to put on a convention unlike many that's ever been seen.
Probably we don't have nothing to do with
We
it.
had Woodstock, we're going to have Trump stock, and we're going to have it in Cleveland.
The convention only lasts 4 days, but it's a bigger production than a Broadway musical. I went to the
He said, if Hillary will say anything and do anything, become president.
That's just the nature of what
She'll lie. Obama said that
We've
shit.
got a lot going on today.
Now he's saying that she's the best one for us. She's better than me and you.
The upper screen is a convex, and what we were trying to do is project out to the audience. But then, of course, the speech is a critical element. So what we did a concave screen, and this way you're drawing the audience in. There's the campaign, there's official proceedings, and there's production. We collaborate. Our job as a production team is to support them and come up with ideas to help support what it is they're trying to do.
Big undertaking, a lot of equipment, a lot of
All you see on that big white folks.
Greg Lane is the convention's
And
executive
you don't even see no niggas working on this shit.
Man.
He's been working on it for years.
I've actually been involved since
That's your own
2014
shit, it's all
as
free.
one of the technical guys who are doing the site selection process. And I've been here preparing for the convention itself since January of 2015. It's a long time.
The tasks are gargantuan.
We had to remove almost 3,000 of the fixed stadium seats to make way for the staging, the podium. Probably a couple of 100 miles of both electrical and low voltage signal cable and camera cable that's run throughout the building that's just temporary.
And the to-do list seems endless. Building platforms, bringing in tons of equipment, hanging lights, running checks, and so on. And if that pressure weren't enough, when the Cleveland Cavaliers made it to the NBA Finals, that meant the GOP had to start work on site later than planned. They were given only 4 weeks to transform the arena. Normally a convention, you have about 6 weeks to build it out. Sean Spicer is the GOP communications director. Taking that venue and transforming it, pulling out seats, taking what would be a luxury box and making that a broadcast booth for all the various networks that want to go in there. And so it's a huge deal, right? And the construction goes beyond the arena.
We're actually in a garage, if you can believe it or not.
Lindsay Keith works for something called the Committee on Arrangements.
We are in the brand new media row, which is kind of our central hub for all surrogates. We've actually put up drywall in here, we've put down carpet, we put up new lights, and we painted the walls. I think when people walk in here now, they're going to be pleasantly surprised to realize it doesn't feel like a parking garage at all.
Ironically, with all this preparation, the whole point of a well-run convention is for the technical side to take a back seat to the politics.
Conventions are important for the party because it's the one time during the whole campaign where you can get your message out with minimal media filter.
Alex Conant was the RNC press secretary during the 2008 convention.
That is, you get hours of primetime coverage directed to the living rooms of tens of millions of Americans.
And this is where Donald Trump, with his TV experience, hopes to make a difference. He and his people hope to capture the imagination of the American people in this convention with a different theme each night. According to the schedule, the first night will be how to make America safe. The second night, how to put America back to work. The third night, putting America first. And the final night, bringing America together. With one final message adding up to, you may have heard it before, how to make America great again. The lineup promises plenty of names. Political names like Senator Mitch McConnell, House Speaker Paul Ryan, Mayor Rudy Giuliani, Ambassador John Bolton, and of course, Vice Presidential candidate Mike Pence. But also TV stars, military heroes,
could never be great.
And regular folks with their own stories to tell.
You white
Above all, though,
they
they'll
can be
be
great.
Trump. Trump and more Trump. Every night, at least one Trump will speak. Melania, Tiffany, Don Jr., Eric, Ivanka. He's got a big family, not to mention personal friends of his, all leading up to the big moment, the candidate's acceptance speech. Perhaps as important as who will be here is who won't.
The media is going to be pointing out, where are the Bushes? Where is Mitt Romney? Where is Condi Rice? Where are all these great Senate candidates? Some of these things are folks that are in cycle and they're not going to conventions.
RNC Chairman Brian Priebus says he isn't concerned.
It's not uncommon for that to happen. Now, I understand there's a little bit more of it now, but I think in the end it'll all work out just fine.
Donald Trump has said this won't be a boring convention like in the past. But isn't what he calls boring a good thing from your perspective as the Republican chairman?
Yes, we tend to not like drama, but you know, I do agree with him in the sense that people do want a little bit more entertainment, a little bit more fun.
If a convention is one long infomercial, what is the Republican product that's being sold?
The product is taking America back and putting America first.
Priebus acknowledges their nominee is the kind of guy who shoots from the hip.
Political correctness is deadly.
Says that's not a bad thing.
We've tried the button-down approach before. How's it worked for us lately? I think some people are encouraged that he is going to hit back, he is going to fire back, and he's not the conventional candidate. But you know what? Conventional hasn't worked for us.
If Brian Priebus is promising something unconventional, other party regulars threaten something unprecedented, replacing the presumptive nominee. And we'll hear from that nominee himself on that threat. More on all this when we return.
He's talking about replacing Trump.
As we've seen, Donald Trump's candidacy has created furious opposition within his own party. And desperate people often take desperate measures.
I'm getting on this, and I'm calling them rules members. And I'm convincing them that we have the ability to do this. We're trying to get as much support on the rules committee as possible.
Longtime Republican Kendall Unruh was prepared to do the unthinkable. Kick out the presumptive nominee. What she planned was simple. Get the Republican Convention Rules Committee to agree to a conscience clause, which would allow delegates to vote how they see fit, starting from the first ballot.
It's really going to boil down to really how strong of a personality do you have, And do you actually love your country more than you dislike Hillary Clinton? And I have to appeal to that sense of truly saving the republic in order to get these rules passed.
We spoke to Unruh and some of her allies.
I'm personally appalled by the lack of character we see with Donald Trump.
I can't go and ask my constituents to go put a bumper sticker on their car, to wave the sign. They won't do it. They'll disenroll before they do it.
That party is just a vehicle for ideas. And if those ideas have been hijacked, then we need to look for an alternative.
Every day, there's something new in the news about the mistakes that he's making and how unpresidential his behavior has become.
They're fully aware the tension in the party could lead to chaos at the Republicans' big show in Cleveland.
One of the officials told me this yesterday, there's going to be a revolt in the party if you try to do something on the Rules Committee. And my comment is, I'm facing a revolt in the party if we don't do something on the Rules Committee. Also, those delegates probably aren't terribly sympathetic for Mr. Trump. They'll probably follow.
The dangers of this strategy, however, are something they're willing to change. To these dyed-in-the-wool Republicans, anything is better than Trump.
It's not enough for me just to say, but he's not Hillary. I'm actually concerned about what this has done to the branding of the party, what he's going to attempt to do to the platform.
We're caught up with Unruh in Cleveland days ahead of the convention.
I'm glad I don't see too many girls
for the first time with the Rules Committee. She had not
I see a
changed
lot
her
of
mind about
guys,
Trump.
that's
He
girls.
says it's not a conservative party, it's a Republican party, it's
They
a
don't know what
workers'
they want to
party.
be.
So if you think you can win without us, go out and win without us.
And little kids,
But if
they all
Unruh and her
do.
people have a
That's
problem
why
with
they wear
Trump,
masks and
most
shit like
party
that.
insiders believe doing more bad. The issue was settled in the primary season by voters.
Donald Trump's certainly not who I would have been for. But the people have chosen. You can like that or not like it, but you've got to abide by it.
So he's thinking any effort to free any bound delegates really doesn't have any chance to succeed.
Hope not. I mean, because we would have perpetrated a fraud on 32 million voters who thought they were voting for something that mattered.
Reince Priebus is more definitive.
I'm not worried about it at all. I believe the convention's going to be much smoother than a lot of the chatter out there would have you believe. I think it's going to be unified. But I do think that Donald Trump will bring a little bit more flair to the event.
And in the end, Priebus avoided a showdown on the convention floor. The effort to thwart Trump was killed in the Rules Committee. This already may be the most unprecedented and unpredictable political convention in modern history. But opposition from outside groups threatens to make it the most unruly as well. That's next. A few weeks ago, Cleveland Cavaliers fans took to the streets to celebrate their team's first championship in more than 50 years. This week, at the place the Cavaliers call home, some fear others will take to the streets, and that the results won't be worth celebrating. Republicans are gathering in Cleveland's Quicken Loans Arena to nominate Donald Trump.
Whoa, that's fantastic.
I'm one of a couple thousand plus people who will actually be casting a vote for the next presidential candidate. That would be great.
Jim Worthington is the owner of the Newtown Athletic Club in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, and an enthusiastic Trump delegate.
We all go to Cleveland, we cast our vote, Donald Trump wins, we go, we come home, we had a great experience. I'm being reached out to. Hey, I'm honored. It is a dream come true.
But while the party faithful congregate inside the arena, many are concerned about violent protests, which have dogged the Trump campaign for some time now, exploding outside. We talked to a whole range of people in Cleveland, and they all are indicating that violence in the streets in Cleveland is a possibility. Does that worry you?
When you see the way some people have been riotous, attacking people in Trump events around the country, you can't help but be concerned.
But many in the business community hope the convention allows them to reintroduce Cleveland, a city that's had more than its share of problems, as a place on the upswing.
It ain't a mistake in the lake anymore. We're having fun. It's a great place to live.
Hey, Jake, Brenda Bring is the owner of the legendary club Nighttown.
It's a brilliant thing that's happening in Cleveland. We're all looking forward to it. There's a lot to do here. The Cleveland Cavaliers, LeBron came home. It's been nothing but entertaining and fun. Here you go, sir.
Morgan Cavanaugh is the owner of Moriarty's, one of the city's oldest pubs.
We welcome all new, happy visitors coming here. Nice people are more than welcome to come here and enjoy themselves.
But many Clevelanders privately worry that if the convention is defined by a people, their city will have drawn the short straw yet again.
The comment I continue to hear is, Jesus, why do we get this convention? I mean, it was like we could have had any convention going back the last 50 years. Cleveland got this one.
Then there's an additional concern. Is the city up to handling the turmoil?
I believe the Cleveland Police Department will do their utmost. I hope to God that they get it right, but I do believe they're going to be tested.
You know, I've thought about a situation where the police come up to me and they're telling me to get down on the ground. I don't plan to get down on the ground.
One person who may be doing some testing is Jeff Nixon, founder of the Cuyahoga County chapter of Black Lives Matter.
We have a police force here in Cleveland that I wouldn't trust as much as I would trust your
So why go there?
Nixon is no fan of Trump either.
Let me give you a few of the words that I hear used to describe Donald Trump. Crazy, unstable, racist, misogynist, warmonger.
And he's not too fond of the party that's about to nominate him.
The fact that Donald Trump is the presumptive nominee of the Republican Party, it gives the whole Black Lives Movement a greater sense of urgency. You know, we really are getting to the point where we think things might become even more dangerous for us.
So make no mistake, protest is certain. But violence? Nixon tells us that if there is, he will blame the Cleveland police.
I expect to see pepper spray. I expect to see people being handcuffed, thrown to the ground. I expect to see people beaten. And some of them, I think, they'll see no choice other than to fight back.
And Nixon says people are preparing to do just that.
All these racist ass. We don't need them.
I listen to people who say, Jeff, you better get a gun. I hear people saying, I'm getting a gun.
The whole damn system is filthy as hell.
Black Lives Matter is but one of many groups that is targeting him.
It's got to be somewhere that they know this is about justice.
We attended a meeting in which more than 24 local left-wing groups got together to plan their opposition.
Donald Trump is definitely playing on people's emotions, their cynicism, their anger. We need to do a Twitter storm.
Deb Klein is the director of Cleveland Jobs with Justice.
We need the people on our side that may oppose Trump that are just as angry and cynical to come out and raise their voices so that we don't end up with the orange billionaire as our next U.S. president.
You don't want to lie either.
They protest in a non-violent manner. But there are others who have the Cleveland business community losing sleep.
Concern right now is that we're going to have a large number of left-wing anarchist groups coming to town to stir up trouble. Because, you know, let's face it, where Donald is, you're going to draw that crowd. The protesters got to remember this. Your message is going to get lost if you turn to violence.
Some business owners are prepared to deal personally with any trouble that comes their way.
I'm a God-loving, Christian-fearing man, and I try to turn the other cheek. But if not, we got the big big stick here.
Many Trump supporters themselves are not the type to sit still.
If they come up and they try to disrupt us, you know, we're going to do whatever it takes. We're not going to stand around and play footsies.
Chris Cox, who we met earlier, is the founder of Bikers for Trump.
We are building an army. You rest assured that when this army is finished, it will be deployed. And we're going to deploy it in Cleveland. You can count on us standing our ground, and you can count on us being there in numbers. And, you know, what happens remains to be seen.
Even some Trump delegates are ready for action. Jim Worthington doesn't just own the Newtown Athletic Club. He trains in it pretty darn hard. And he knows what to do when push comes to shove.
I can defend myself fairly well. And I'm not welcoming anything, but when the time comes, I'll deal with it. In the meantime, I'll keep training and getting in shape.
Trump's violence and shit.
Fight if necessary.
Well, Packer was something else, ain't they? Hey, Packer was something else, man. They what, I mean, fighting in politics, fisticuffs.
Coming up. No one would deny Donald Trump is his own man. Someone even say he's a law unto himself. But this supreme individualist now finds himself in the position of possibly leading millions of others. How will that affect him? In the weeks heading into the convention, Trump seemed to realize that a presidential campaign, even one as unusual as his, needed some sense of order. Some speculated that may be why Trump fired his controversial campaign manager, Corey Lewandowski, and replaced him with an old Republican pro, political consultant, Paul Manafort.
He's a creature of Washington. He's worked here most of his career and is very well known around the city. Same way we said of several of the staffers that they brought on in recent weeks.
Party regulars hoped Manafort could impose upon the Trump campaign a measure of discipline and a sense of greater communion with the party. And as the convention neared, the Trump campaign seemed at least to be chipping away at some of the problems. His fundraising numbers were up, and some RNC leaders were starting to signal acceptance.
I see a binary choice in front of us. It is Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. Yes, Donald Trump is far better to be commander-in-chief than Hillary Clinton in my mind. I don't think Hillary Clinton is going to do any of the things that we need to do to get this country back on the right track.
What's the most important message, do you think, that needs to come out?
The message is we're a unified party around the idea that we want to have a safe, stable, and secure country that wants to put more money in people's pockets and get people back to work. And that our nominee is the person that can best deliver that.
The question is, was the party adapting to the candidate or vice versa?
Free trade, a market economy, peace through strength. These were the principles of the Republican Party that people united behind after 1980. When I was party chairman in the mid-90s, that was very clear and almost universally accepted.
But with the rise of Donald Trump, it's become clear many Republicans are rethinking free trade.
We've lost our manufacturing and furniture and things like that. We've lost that to China. They're hurting. They're looking for somebody who can stop the bleeding.
Jack Morgan, the Trump operative we met earlier, says he's seen economic damage in his home state of Virginia and believes bad trade agreements have caused widespread harm.
We're losing our nation. We can no longer worry about some peripheral issues. We have to fix trade.
He's not alone.
The problem with this district, we need someone to take a sledgehammer to this bull. There's no other way around it.
Cody Knotts is a Republican from rural Pennsylvania who directs low-budget horror films. He considers himself a Reagan man, but also says Donald Trump is the only candidate he trusts to take action on the economy.
None of them want to change trade policy. They all want to sell out the average working man so their buddies can make more money. Is he the best messenger? No.
Thank you, everybody.
But he's the only messenger we got.
Right.
Clinton unleashed a trade war against the American worker when she supported one terrible deal after another. A Trump administration will end that war by getting a fair deal for the American people and the American worker. Win or lose, Donald Trump seems to have redirected the path of the Republican Party, or at least he's hoping to.
This party's new. I mean, as far as the size and scope of what we've built here.
Today, it's Ryan. I asked Reince Priebus if the GOP is changing into what some call a more populist party. Donald Trump said, 5-10 years from now, it'll be a different party. You're going to have a workers' party, a party of people who haven't had a real wage increase in 18 years.
We got to be for the welders and the guys making tools in the union shops and the construction workers. That's what the Republican Party is and should be. But that's the only way you grow. You have to.
I spoke to Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell about the GOP in the era of Trump.
I don't think the Republican Party is going to start standing for things different from what we have in the past. We are America's conservative party.
But there's a split. I mean, when he talks about Workers' Party, he He's probably talking about his thoughts about trade and tariffs and fines. Those are not policies that you've traditionally supported in the Republican Party.
No, and I still don't.
So there's a split there.
Yeah.
But do you think the party overall is shifting his way?
If you think America can do better by taking a different path, Donald Trump represents a different path. We may have some discussions inside the party about exactly what that path ought to look like. But believe me, it'll be very different from the last 8 years.
After talking to so many people about the meaning of Donald Trump, we thought we'd give the last word to the man himself. I spoke with Trump as he was preparing to come here to Cleveland to find out the latest thinking on his campaign and where he stands. First off, I asked him if there's a new Trump in the offing. You're giving speeches off the teleprompter more. Some people have noticed that your tone has changed a little bit in recent days. Is this the turn that everybody talks about, that you're pivoting now to become this more controlled presidential candidate?
I'll give you a terrible answer. I don't think so. I want to be myself. You know, it got me here.
He dismisses the movement against him within his own party.
This whole never Trump movement is nonsense. You understand?
You're not worried about it?
Not even a little bit.
There's fraction.
By the way, they're always over. You can look back at Ronald Reagan. You can look back at anybody. There's never been a convention, even if somebody was extremely popular. Look, here's a simple answer, though. I went through a period of almost a year where I got more votes than anybody by far. We increased the vote total for Republican primaries by 67%. It's an unheard of number. Right. Now you're going to take the person that did that, and in one day, with a couple of loudmouths, you're going to say, oh, forget about the last year. Forget about the fact that Trump got more votes than anybody in the history of the party. Let's put somebody else in there. Let's put somebody that didn't win a state.
You said it's not going to happen.
Can't happen. The alternative's Hillary Clinton, super liberal judges. Our country becomes Venezuela.
All right, let me ask you some big picture questions. What do you think the GOP will look like in 5 years after the first term of what you say will be a Trump administration?
Well, it's going to be changing. You look at the platform right now.
Yeah.
The platform is largely a Trump platform. Strong on trade. Yes. You look at the wall, you look at the borders, and you look at all the things. I mean, a few people have said it's like a Donald Trump speech.
But on these other issues that you have talked out about, that you've said that there is some kind of middle ground, are you concerned about social conservatives and making sure they are in the tent?
Look, I am a representative of the party. We're doing something for the evangelicals, which is incredible. They keep getting threatened that we're going to take away your tax-exempt status. And we're going to do something to help the evangelicals, the Christians. We're going to give them their voice back. So I think what's happening with the platform is very good. Do I agree with everything? Nobody ever has.
What is the story you're going to try to tell at the convention?
I'm going to tell a law and order story. I'm going to tell a lot of stories at the convention.
And in the wake of the latest attack in France, one of Trump's stories will be about the need to confront...
We have to, as I said, we have an obligation to the
Finally, there was one thing I had to know. Make America great again. It's the slogan that people identify with. I wonder when in your mind
people identify with
was America great?
White people identify with.
If you look at what we did with the great factories and the great, with the steel and with all of what was happening, that was an amazing time. Now, every time has weaknesses because it wasn't inclusionary. It was, lots of different things. I thought Ronald Reagan, I disagreed with him on trade, very much disagreed with him on trade, but I thought he was a cheerleader in a very elegant way. I thought that was in many ways a great time.
Reagan's the last time.
I would say that Ronald Reagan was special. He was special. That was a time we felt good about ourselves.
As Shakespeare writes, what's past is prologue. Everything we've seen up to this point, no matter how extraordinary, no matter how unparalleled, has simply set the stage for what's to come. But we can guess, based on what we've seen so far, that Donald Trump will continue to surprise. That may mean he'll keep on being his quite singular self. He'll really shock us and become a more conventional candidate. Where Mr. Trump goes next and where his party goes next are open questions, but very soon we'll be getting answers. And the biggest answer